Okay, welcome back. This is part 2. I'm Roy from ratemyfuneral.com. That was raped, by the way. Right, now we've been working on this. This is the Lamborghini that we downloaded and we textured. We spent a little bit of time doing it, but it has come out looking rather damn groovy. Excuse me. So we are now in this video, tutorial, thing, guide, whatever. We're going to sort of give it a bit of animation. That worked well. Good guide, quick time. Yeah. So we're going to give it a bit of that. We're going to make it slide into the scene. Whee! Boom. Okay? Something like that. Like I said in the previous tutorial, this is going to be nothing fancy, nothing complicated. We're literally just going to do some keyframing and bring it in there. And I'll just basically take you through what I did to create that other one. So let's get on with it. Right, let's see. So we have our Lamborghini sitting here. That's looking fine. Yeah, we could probably have spent a bit more time on it and we could probably tweak some things and make some things better than they are, but I think that's looking pretty cool. The only thing that I do want to do is change out this color on the wheels, because that I don't think should be chrome after all. I think I'm going to use my shiny black plastic on my rim centers. And look at that, we've already started saying rim, and we've only just started this part of the tutorial guide thing, whatever this is, I don't know. Rim center. I actually put the brake one on there, that was good of me. Why didn't you point that out to me while we were doing that? Right, there we go. So that's looking a little bit better, I assume. Right, we need to get that in there. I'm also going to, because I think it looks good, just change the color of Infidio Studio by going to the color and just making it a kind of light grey going into a dark grey, because I think that that's going to just look that little bit slicker. There we go. And that gives us slightly more reflection than I would like. So let's go into the floor reflection and just turn that down a bit, about 25, maybe even a little bit less than that, and put the blur up to about 3, because then, yeah, that's better. That's about right. It's not too much then. Cool beans. Okay, next we need to fix our video settings here. So we go into the settings, so output, I do most of my videos at 720, 25 frames per second, which is fine. We'll go into that. Let's change the actual, if we press Control and D, we can change the actual frame rate of the animation to 25 frames per second, so it matches. Okay, and I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. Basically, I want to start where I want to finish, if that makes any sense at all. I'm going to give myself 100 frames to play with. And at around about 85 is where I want it to be sort of sitting. So I'm going to do a couple of things here. I am going to start by getting the car doing what I want it to do. Now let's animate the whole thing kind of driving into place. So at around about frame 85, I want to keyframe. I want to keyframe the car itself. So bang, like that. Cool. Now let's zoom out a little bit here and look at the top view, some of the side views, and see what we want to do here. So I want it to kind of come in from over there, so I need to do a couple of things. Firstly, when you think about how a handbrake turn's working, I want it to swing round at the end, pivoting from the front wheels. So one thing I'm going to do is actually change the axis position to the front wheels. That's where on the actual car itself. So the position is from the front wheels. And the reason for that is because because we set a keyframe, when I click back, that's going to have moved it, but that's not really the end of the world. We can just move that forward again a little bit. I only want it roughly about where I want it. It's fine. We can put it there, reset that keyframe again. But the reason I've made that at the front there is because now when I turn this, you see how it kind of turns off the front wheels. Right, stop playing, Roy. So there we go. You could make this do donuts. You could make this do all sorts. If you just mess with it, it's great. Right, now, next, let's think. So let's think the kind of movement of a handbrake turn. It's kind of going to be traveling along, and then the last bit is a kind of slide. So let's go back to, say, frame 65. We'll tweak all of this at the end. Let's just get a rough idea of what we want. And we'll just turn it and move it back just slightly, keyframe there, and then we'll go to maybe say frame 45, and we'll turn it and move it back slightly to about there, so keyframe, and then maybe at say 30 we'll turn it a bit more and we'll move it back to about there. No, I want to turn it a little bit more, something like that, and then frame 1, let's get it right out of the scene, so drive it over there. Alright, so let's just have a quick look and see what we've actually done. Okay, so we've got some timing issues there. So let's grab these keyframes. When we're doing animation, we can actually hop into animation, the animation layout, which is pretty good. I normally go up here and do customization, then go layouts. I actually noticed, I've never noticed this before, a button all the way up here. The reason is because I have a very large monitor. To see up there, I don't. I have to move to look all the way up here. Oh, there it is. I then found this layout button. So yeah, just do that. Animation. Bang. There we go. We're in the animation menu. Right. So this last bit, we need to get that right down. So I'm going to move this across and just drag that right in. And let's just have a look and see what that looks like now. Okay. So we'll maybe extend that section. Okay. And we'll extend that section. And we'll extend that section. It's looking a little bit clunky. It's closer now though. Okay, so that last little bit kind of stops a bit too abruptly. So let's just open this up. Rotation. If we change our thingy thing to curve, is it motion mode we want or curve mode? I think it's curve mode. There we go. You can see kind of what's happening here with our rotation. So we want that. We just grab that. Oh, so we didn't want that. We need this curve to kind of be fairly neat. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's not too bad. There's a bit of a strange bit of movement at the end there, but yeah, it might be alright. The car comes in, slides, and kind of comes to a stop. I'm just a bit worried about how quickly that comes to a stop. So maybe I don't want it to bounce back. Yeah, that might be okay. Let's just rewind and have a look. Boom. Yeah, that's not too bad, because I want the arse end to fly across really, so I'm not sure about the timing still though. I think if we just go back to normal, bring those in again, I think this needs to be a bit quicker. I mean, this is a quick animation at the end of the day. So I think at this point I'm just going to move it forward like an absolute gnat. I don't like the way that's sitting at the end. No, undo that, forget that. This isn't too bad. I think it's the way it's moving forward just doesn't seem kind of right. You could mess with this for hours. Right, I'm going to go with that. I think that's not too bad. Right, okay, let's get the other bits happening as they should. So let's turn off the camera and zoom out a bit so we can see exactly what we're doing. Okay, our Lamborghini comes in, it does its handbrake. So firstly, at this point here, I need to get those wheels fixed. So now, if you watched the first one, you'll remember I only moved them by 30 degrees. So we just put those back, boom, and boom. That's fine. And what we want to do is get those spinning. Now this is a rear wheel drive car, so it's going to work a little bit differently to my Mini. So the front wheels are going to probably be spinning this whole time. But let's start with the back wheels. Right, so the back wheels, we want to turn the pitch. Okay, so I'm just going to put a keyframe in here. And then if we go forward to just before it turns, so it's about there. All right, I want them to lock at that point. So let's set it, I don't know, let's hazard a guess at 720. This is a really hard one to call because, I mean, you can do the maths and work out with how far forward you've moved. But let's, okay, that's cool. But this, I'm going to select the back wheels and we're going to set that to a solid, what do you call this, a linear keyframe rather than a spline keyframe. So that what's actually happening there is that it comes in, locks, and flies around. Now, not quite doing it at the right time, so it's there. So we just need to bring that, just bring that keyframe back in. There we go. Cool. And then what I did on the other one was literally at this point here, right at the end, because that's as if you've just released the handbrake. The wheels, the back wheels, would probably just edge forward like a couple of degrees or something. So that's the point where you've released it. Yeah, that'll do for now. Okay, so that's fine. The front wheels, at the point of braking, I want them to turn on their side. So here, front two wheels, this is going to be that one there. If we come over here, we can see that a little bit. We can see that we're turning. Now, obviously you don't want to turn all the way around because that would be strange. So let's put a keyframe in there. And about there, we want to give it quite a whack. Boom. Zoom out a little bit. Okay. And I think what I'm going to do is, so they turn, and then at about that position, I'm just going to put another keyframe, and then for the end, I'm just going to have them go back to about 30, because I still want them to have that cool looking angle. Okay, so let's just have a look and see how that's looking at the moment. So car comes in, slides, cool. We will put a camera move in there so we do get to see all of this. Cool. Okay. Let's just check that front wheel there. Yep, they're curvy, so that's fine. Okay. The next thing we need to do is make these front wheels turn. So the front wheels, again, it's going to be pitch to make them turn. So let's go right to the start. So we turn the back wheels about 720. I mean, I'm not sure if that might have been too much, but it's a rear-wheel drive car. It's on a slippery floor. You know, it could be that it wheel spins a bit, so that doesn't have to be perfect. But around about here on the front wheels, we want them to kind of stop spinning a bit, or at least slow right down. So we'll put a keyframe at the start, bang, and then about here we'll put we'll spin them forward. Let's try about 600, and then we want them to maybe kind of just roll a little bit, and then like a gnat. Right, let's just have a look at that and see how that's looking. Oops. Yeah, that looked pretty good. I'm thinking the turning on the wheels though is a bit sharp. Let's just find that turn of the wheels there. That's these two here, so if we just stretch that out a little bit so it's not quite so sharp. Cool. Yep, that looks pretty cool. Right, okay. Now, because we have inertia, now depending on the car and the suspension would affect this, but we want this to look cool. So I'm going to grab the body. This is why we did the body like this. And if we grab this one, we don't particularly want it doing that. That's if you were to brake hard and then do something, or fly away. We don't want that one. No, 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 no. It's actually that one. Okay, so we can give it a bit of a roll. So basically at this point here we set a keyframe, and then for about most of that turn the whole thing's probably, oh, this is only going to be subtle, the whole thing's probably going to tilt maybe 3 degrees, bang, like that. And then as it gets round, we'll set another keyframe at 3 and do one at the end at -2, and then we'll just skip forward a couple of frames and do one at 1, and then skip forward a couple of frames and do one at 0. Maybe, yeah, well, let's just try that. Let's just see how that's looking. I'm just going to zoom this camera out a little bit and across. There we go. It's a little bit much, isn't it? It doesn't look quite right. So let's just extend those out a little bit. That's a little bit better, but it's still probably a bit much, I think. So let's see, body. So there. So maybe go to -1. Set that keyframe and then go here, go to +1 and then back to 0. Just try that. I'm still thinking it's a little bit boaty, isn't it? It might be alright. I suppose it would be pretty blue. I think it's just the speed. I think this whole system just needs to be sped up just a touch. And I need to grab that roll and put that back a little bit. Maybe forward 1. It's all about the tweaking. You can spend hours doing this. I had an hour sitting on the train doing this before. I mean, that's not too bad. Right, play with that to your heart's content. I'm not going to mess with it too much on this one. Right, okay, so we've got our basic movement going on for our car. Now I want to sort out some cameras. So basically the way I'm going to do this, if you have R14, you have camera morph. If you don't, just animate your camera as normal. I'm going to use camera morph here because it's just a tad easier. So in order to do this, I'm going to create another 2 cameras. So I'm going to copy this camera and paste it, and copy that camera and paste it. So camera 1 is going to be my first position. So I want this to see, I want the car just out of the scene, like so. Alright, now camera 2, I want in my final looking groovy, cool position. So something like that. Brilliant. And now on this camera, I'm going to set this as my camera. I'm going to right click and do camera morph and set camera 1 as camera 1 and set camera 2 as camera 2. And now basically all I have to do to get that nice camera move is just that. Job's done. So at position 1, I'm on camera 1. Let's say by about 51, I'm on camera 2. Excellent. And there we go, we now have our camera move. It's just so much easier doing it like that. And then this camera 2, I'm just going to select for the minute, and at say about frame 48, set a keyframe, and at say 70, I'm just going to zoom in just a touch like that, just so that there's some movement going on, and keep that keyframe there. Okay, so now if we go back into our morph camera, we get this, we get boom, and we just get that final little bit of movement, which we can also just extend out and make it maybe 90 frames. Yep, let's do the full 100. There we go. Boom. There you go. And if we just hit render at any point in that, it's looking pretty nifty. Okay, last little bit that we want to do on this is set some skid marks. So let's see how we want to do that. A couple of methods of doing this. There's the easy way, or there's the not as easy way. Let's start with the easy way. We're going to find the back wheels, and now this is where, if I had have set up the back wheels like this, I would be thinking that was a really good idea, Rory. However, I didn't, so I'm an idiot. Right, let's go to the start and turn off cameras. Find our car. Let's also make the infidio floor a little bit bigger so it engulfs the car. There we go. Alright, now we don't have any lighting over here for while we're working, but now we can work in the dark, it's fine. I still think that infidio is sitting slightly high. I'm just going to drop it again. I'm hoping that that's now still right. Yeah, it looks okay. Right, okay. Oh, infidio. Go into it, go to lighting and turn on distance light. And that does nothing. Forget that. I'm sure that works. Oh, it just adds an additional light across it so you can see it from a distance. No, that's not what that's for. It's been a long time since I've used that. Okay. Anyway. Right. What am I doing? What was I doing just now? Oh yeah, I was going to add skid things. Right, let's start. We need to create some splines basically following these wheels. That's essentially what we're doing. So let's start with one of these front wheels. Let's create a polygon, and we'll hold down Alt to put it inside there. We'll take the wheel back out of it, but it is now in the right position for that wheel, although I just want to basically move it down so it's on the floor. So let's just move that down so it's on the floor. Cool, okay. And now I need to make a copy. No, I'll just do the same thing again. Easiest way. Hold down Alt, take the wheel out, go round to where that one is, and move that down so it's on the floor. Okay, cool. Now the back wheels a little bit more difficult because of the fact that I did them separately. I didn't do them separately, but it's fine. We'll create a polygon. Hold down Alt. Copy and paste that now. We might as well. And we need to get that on this wheel. So I'm just going to eyeball it. It's going to be a lot easier. Make sure it's on the floor. And put it so it's on that wheel. Cool. Okay, and the other one. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll delete the other one. We'll make a copy of that one now. And then all we have to do is move it over to where the other wheel is. Perfect. Okay, so we have our 3 polygons, and all they are attached to, if I just move these to the top, is the car itself. So if the car moves around, they move with it, and they're not spinning or doing anything. That's why they're specifically not inside of these wheel or body things, because these are doing the inertia and the spinning, whereas this is only doing the movement, which is exactly what I want to happen here. Right, so polygon number 2, 3. Let's start with this one. We need to put this into, I've just noticed that I don't seem to have any menus. Why don't I have any menus? Did anyone see me do this? Because I missed it. let's go up here and we'll go to standard. Get my menus back. There was probably a point during this where I deleted that, and you lot all probably went, ah, you just deleted that. But I certainly didn't see it. So mode tracer, that's the one we're going to use. So we hold down Alt and we put that inside the with the polygon inside that. And then when I hit play, nothing happens. There's a reason for this. Beep. Beep. And that's because I don't want this to be working like this at all. I've done it completely wrong. So I'm just going to undo that, go back to my polygons, and I'm going to put each one into a null, like so. That was Alt G. And then just delete the polygon from each one. I was supposed to do this with nulls, but for some reason I got it in my head that I was supposed to do it with polygons. So now if I select all three of those and go to tracer, it should have my nulls in there, so that's fine. And then what should happen is, as I drive, you see how I now get these skid marks. Cool, check that out. And what these are splines. So we can use these to create our skid marks on the floor. So in order to do this, I am going to open with the tracer there. I am going to go to sweep and hold down Alt to put it into there, and then I'm going to go to the rectangle, and if I hold down Shift, it puts it inside. Now what we've done there is we've created these incredibly cool massive skid marks. You would never have a skid mark like that, I don't think. I mean, look at it, that's insanity. So we need to tweak that a little bit. Let's get the old thinness in a little bit. We're going to have to absolutely do this by guesswork. And the height, let's put it to 1. See, if we go to 0, it disappears. So we'll go 1, and then that way we've still got it. And we get that. Perfect. Right, now what do I want to do with this? I need to make sure that I need to animate this in time with it, but I don't want the skid marks to come the whole time. So basically what I'm going to do is to grab the sweep, and basically I want to look at the end grow. So we want to, that's the point where it kind of starts to appear. The start grow, okay. Because of course it's treating them individually, so this might be a bit of an issue. Let's go to our camera and just see what this is looking like at the moment. Right, because I mean it kind of works, but it's not really what I want. I'm going to use this matte on the sweep just so that it comes up a bit darker. Let's just have a quick look at that. Possibly a bit thick actually. Let's go to the rectangle, make it 0.2, and then it should just only just show up. Could also just make sure that our nulls are definitely on the floor. Let's just check that. So I'm thinking that's actually sitting a bit high. It's pretty flat. Not going to get much flatter than that. Right, so yeah, the point is I was going to animate, but you can see basically the way it's treating it, unless you do them individually, it's treating it like that. So we're going to need to do them individually. So let's do this. We'll grab this sweep, we'll copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. That gives us 4 of these things. And in the tracers, we need to go in, and on this one, I'll delete all except the first one. In this one, I should have named these really. I'll delete the first, third, and fourth. In this one, I'll delete the first, second, third, and fourth. Yeah, you heard. This one, all but the last one. Right. And then that way now, I mean, it should still work. Cool. But I can now animate these individually. So the skids I don't want to start until there, so that point on the back. So let's just work out, if I switch these off it does hide them, so that's great. So let's start with Let's switch them all off and turn on that one. So what one is that one? Right, that's the back end one. So that's back left. So we'll say BL. Undo that. Let's put that at the end. It's just so I know. Right, and which means that this one is BR. Logical. And then this one, if I'd have done this at the start, we wouldn't be going through all of this now. For this, I apologise, but oh well. So this is front left. So FL, which means that by definition, this one should be front right. Okay, cool. Let's switch these all back on again. Right, spin around here. Okay, so yeah, at this point here, I want the back, because this is where these two wheels lock up. So I want the two back ones. I want their start to be there. So 82%. And that's it. So basically that comes along and phew. So let's just check that. That doesn't work. Oh, okay. Because look at the way that follows it. That's not right. That's not how I thought that was going to work. Oh, man. I thought this one was the easy way. The way I did it in my other one was the hard way, and I actually manually animated splines. I'm kind of wishing that I had. Right. Let's try this. Let's animate this right to the end. And then I'm going to click on each of the traces. Right click, current state to object. Did that work? I don't know. Let's turn off the delete the traces. Look at that. Look, we worked this out. I worked this out in real time just for you. See, look. So now this should work. Yeah, look, because it's the way the tracer works. Right, so now our skid marks are permanent. We can't change them again now. So remember that. If you do that, then your skid marks are stuck and you'll need to remake a new tracer for it. But for now, this is going to be just what we want. So the back one. At the point where the wheels lock up, which is there, I need to make it so that the start growth is there. And also 55 for the end growth. I then put a keyframe here and I go to the end to the point where it stops, which is there, and I 100% that and keyframe it. Okay, so now the back one goes. Okay, so we've got a slight timing issue there, but I think the reason for that is the curved animation. So we're going to go to layout, animation. I've lost all my menus again. And wherever I just did that, which was in these sweeps here, these are the ones for that. We're going to just select those and we're going to set them as linear keyframes, and then that should fix that timing. No, not quite. All right. So let's go to about halfway. You know why? It's because they're in different positions and I did them at the same time. I should have done them individually. I need to stop taking shortcuts. Right. Let's go back to this position. Let's delete those. Not all of those. Delete those two keyframes. Start with this one. The back left. Okay, when we go forward to 100%, which is there. Bang. Right, let's just check that that's doing it. Cool. Okay, and then this, the front one, we've got the keyframe at the end growth there. We need to get that so that that one stops there. Let's have a look. No, that's still not keeping up with it. It must be to do with the angle of the dangle. So let's just manually move that forward and keyframe it. Alright, so it loses it a little bit there. Just basically anywhere where it isn't quite keeping up, just stick a keyframe in there. Obviously, the less keyframes, the better, because if you want to change something, there's less to do. But That's how this is turning out. Okay, right. And the front one, there's only gonna be a little bit of skiddage really. So probably from about there for this one here, which is front left. So the start growth will bring that right in to about there, and then we'll just keyframe the end growth from 90 up to 100 there. So that just gives us a little bit of a skid on the floor. That's fine. I said skid. And then this one we can't really see, but again, I mean, it's going to be just like a little bit from there, isn't it? If at all. I mean, would that one even create a skid mark? That's arguable. Let's see, that's going to be about there. A keyframe there. That was supposed to be 90 back there, so let's just go back to this keyframe, make that 90, make that 100. That wasn't even 100, I'm just typing in random numbers. Right, okay, so then we should just get a little bit of a skid. Cool. Right, so let's go back to our camera and hit play. Cool, okay, well, we've done that and we made some skids on the floor. I mean, they're a little bit dark, but like I say, you can do whatever you want with them. Maybe create another texture. Create a new texture perhaps, and just literally just make it like a bit grey or something, and drop that specular right down. I mean, you could put a bump in it maybe. I mean, I'm literally just messing around now. I mean, you could probably put a bump in here and do double knots, double knots, double knots, something like that. And then that would put a kind of bit of a strip on it, possibly. I don't know. I didn't set it to it. Bang. Let's just set it to it. Fool. I'm not liking the way they're shining up like that. Let's just do this. This is a trick. Because I turned on ambient occlusion, we can actually go into there, go cinema tags, external compositing. That wasn't the right button. Cinema tags, compositing, and just untick scene by AO. And that reminds me, I did mean to do this earlier, but totally forgot. Body, and then the glass that's on the headlights, which is here, I want to do the same thing. So cinema, external compositing. No, stop doing that. Cinema compositing, and then scene by AO. And then the reason that I've done that is because that way then the AO isn't all inside there and stuff. I'm still not completely convinced by these skid marks. Let me just go in and check them. Now that we've made them real, we can actually just grab them. Come out of this camera. Let's go and have a look. We can just move them all. Ah, that's why, look. We want them just on the floor. There we go. There we go. I think we probably were better off with our black on there, but you can tweak that and do what you want with that. Cool. Okay. So there you go. That's how we're going to do it. Now, if you want to render this out, go into your output. Make sure you set it to all frames. That'll include all of the frames. And then you have to choose where you want to save it. Now you can export it as a movie or whatever. I always do as PNG. And then I choose a place and I render it out like that. Because we've got physical renderer on, we've got depth of field set up. You will want to change it from progressive to adaptive. And then depending on the speed of your computer, this is going to obviously affect this. You can do it on low or medium. You can do it on high if you've got a really super computer or whatever. That's probably all we really need to tweak in there. I think that's probably about it. The thing you would maybe want to watch is your depth of field on these cameras, because obviously you can have different ones, so the depth of field will change as it gets nearer. But I've just set them quite low, and they're both set to be on that front right wheel, so they're both set to be, you know, the depth of field plane is there. You'll be able to see that there, see? So, because I think that looks pretty good, but you could always have the ramp the focus from the back to the front or whatever. So there we go. That's how that's how you can animate it. Yeah, there it is. Right. Yes. So that's the end of that. Like I say, not anything particularly fancy, but hopefully some things to play with. It's just a bit of fun, really. Stick that in After Effects and then just mess with it and put some lens flares on it, glue them to the headlights, do some nice colour correction, and you end up with that fun sort of videos. And yeah, so hopefully you have some fun with that. Do something with it. Again, as I always say, please send me in what you do. You know, send links to it. The easiest or the best one is Facebook. If you send me images on Facebook or videos on Facebook, I will repost them with your name to say, look, you did this. So yeah, so make sure follow on the Facebook, the Twitter, the LinkedIn, the Google Plus, any of those types of things. And obviously check out the main site, because there's always stuff going on there. There's a load of free stuff on there. There's a load of good stuff on there. There's a load of rubbish on there. Yeah, so that's it for this one. Catch you later.